All right, so obviously we are back in business, up and running. I know a lot of you guys have been wanting an update, like what's the deal, what's going on. Some of you guys are wondering if the title ever showed up, so we'll talk about stuff like that too. I thought it'd be fun to kind of maybe just shoot the shit a little bit while we do some work. Let's hang some panels on this. I've got stuff strung out all over the shop. It's time we start buttoning this old girl up a little bit and progressing it along. It's been kind of hung up in limbo for a little while, and I think it's high time to get some work done to it again. Like I said, I thought we'd start out with hanging some panels. What better one to start out with than the trunk lid? Before we could do it, obviously we got to get some masking off, get the hinges untaped, and get the weather stripping in. I think I'll go ahead and get that in now before I put the trunk lid on, because it has to go over the hinges, you know. Let's take a look at what we got going on here. I got a whole box of stuff. I believe some of this is for the doors. Some of it's for the other panels, like the trunk lid. Looks like we got some clips. Got all kinds of stuff in here, even adhesive. So hopefully we've got everything we need. Let's find out. Not sure what's what just yet. We'll have to get it all out of here. It looks like we got a separate roll of some stuff here. Maybe this is the windshield stuff. I'm not sure yet. It's what it looks like. That looks like windshield rubber. Okay, so that's probably, here we go. What does this say? Rear window upper is what I'm assuming that is. RW upper. So, okay, let's keep that separate. We don't need that just yet. I see another one here. It's probably for the front glass. And then I believe all this other stuff's going to be for trunk and doors and all of that. So, and we got some more adhesive in here, it looks like. 3 of those total, I see. And then here's that. This is for the doors. I do know that. I know that without a doubt. This piece here, we'll probably have to get some more of this out first. That's more front window. Okay, here's another adhesive. So I found the packing list here. One thing I'm noticing is it shows that we're supposed to have 40 clips, I believe. 30 for a 2-door and then 40 for a 4-door. They're calling them the sweeper clips. And that's the clips that goes right inside of the door, I believe, that holds this thing on. It's got kind of it's metal, but it has a felt tip, and it's what rubs against the glass when you roll it up and down. It says 40 clips, but I don't believe that to be 40 clips. That looks more like 20 tops. So we'll see what we got to do there. We may have to send off for some more. Front windshield, the back windshield. Got both the rubbers for those. And then everything else is doors and trunk lid. So, yeah, only thing I can see is that it doesn't look like we have enough clips for those sweeps, but oh well, I'm sure we can make it work. But it does look like we have everything that we need to hang this trunk lid, so let's just move on with that right now. Luckily, we thought ahead and saved some of the old stuff. I do believe this right here is some pieces of the old rubber molding that went in here for the trunk. So all we need to do really is just come over here and match it up with our new stuff, and we'll know right away which one goes in there. I believe it's this one here, actually. Look at there. Let's see. That does appear to be it. I don't know. It seems too long. Let's see. Oh my God. There we go. Finally found the end of it. Now that seems long, but dude, this trunk lid is huge. So if we were to come here and match them up, you'd see that they have the same shape. And luckily, these guys are cool. They labeled everything, so there's no guesswork. We know damn well this is the trunk. Let's get in here and remove our masking first. How about that? Go ahead and get this one out of the way. Obviously, we got to get the hinges unmasked before we can hang the trunk lid, or get the bolts in it and all that, you know. Now, some of you guys are worried about this old car, wondering what's going to happen to it. Me and the owner had a little bit of falling out. Oh well, it happens. Truth is, I don't even know. As of right now, the making of this video, I don't know. But I do understand everybody kind of curious what's up. Ah, good Lord of mercy. But I do understand everybody wanting to know what's going to happen to the car, and I'm playing it by ear. But one thing I do know is that we got to finish putting it together. I mean, come on. Some of you guys are saying set it on fire. Oh my God. Get the rest of this out of here. Make sure, check your tape and stuff and make sure you're not getting screws and things stuck to it. I've had that happen many a times. I've had little pieces of trim get stuck to my masking and end up in the trash can. So you definitely don't want that. Just kind of look around, maybe squish it up really tight, make sure nothing's in there, stuff like that, you know. There's all that trim. You guys remember that? Surely none of y'all's forgotten miles and miles of trim that has to go back on this thing. And of course, it was all dingy and scuffed up, so it'll need some sort of attention, some kind of a polishing or something before it just goes right back on the car. We don't want to give this old girl a brand new dress and put all that old junky jewelry right back on her. That's not going to be good, and it's not going to do her justice. God, there's just so much of it. We got trim up here. We got trim that goes down there. We got pieces that go on the end here. Pieces here, the gigantic bumper that weighs about 150 pounds. Lots and lots to do here, so let's just get going on it. A good idea when you're messing with weather stripping is to take it outside and let it sit in the sun for a little bit before you install it. It will help you. It's so hot out here today, y'all. I don't think we're gonna have a problem. And this stuff is it's kind of squishy and really pliable. I don't think we're gonna have any trouble with it. Let's find out. Now, it makes sense to start right here in the middle of the latch. Let that be your seam. Like, I don't think it makes sense to put your seam up there at the top or anything like that. It makes more sense to put it down here. Although when we pulled the old stuff off, I mean, it had seams all over the place. There was a seam up there, a seam over there, a seam over there. I don't know what was going on there. Just somebody pieced it in, I guess. Yeah, this stuff going in very easily. All you got to do really is just put the bottom in first. Just let it kind of catch that channel right here. This channel right here. Let this bottom groove just go right into it. And then you could kind of roll. It's kind of hard with my hands full with the camera. But then you could roll that top one in and just keep going with it. And it goes in really nice. I mean, look at that. This only took a second to get this little piece in. We're already over a foot in and it was really easy. So awesome. We'll just keep going all the way around with it until it's all the way in. Just work our way down the line here. Yeah, man, that's going in really nice. That makes, man, I'll tell you what, this just makes it right here. When you can go back in on one of these old cars after it's all freshly painted and everything's all nice and shiny and everything, and put this new weather stripping in. Let me look at this. This looks like brand new. I mean, it is brand new, but what I mean is it just looks like a brand new car. I mean, this little plastic stick here works pretty good. It's kind of curved on the ends there, see? Keeps you from poking a hole right through the rubber molding. I guess, you know, you might be tempted to use a screwdriver or something. I'm afraid that would poke a hole right through our weather stripping, and we don't want to do that. So this works really good. I'll probably end up using it on the windshield rubber as well. It works really good for stuff like that. So anyway, moving right along here, getting around these hinges. This is another reason why I wanted to do this before the deck lid went on. Make it a lot easier to work around all of this without it being in the way. Give you guys another shot of what I'm talking about here. Look. You got this groove in the rubber here. Let's put that into the channel first. Just get that started just like that. Then we can come around to the back side and just push the back of that rubber right down in the channel. And man, look, I mean, you could just cruise right along here. I mean, we're doing this one-handed, y'all. Our bird's back. He's here to watch. He's gonna supervise for us. You see him right there? That's cool. We like him. Well, it appears that we have made it around to the finish line. That's cool. And it looks like we have a lot left over. Not sure what we would need it for, but we do have quite a bit left over. Now, I'm going to attempt to cut this with the world's dullest razor blade. That's all I could find. Try to get it as close as possible. Yeah, very dull. Good Lord, I think I could have chewed it in half. Oh man. This don't have any kind of metal inside of it or anything. It's just very soft rubber, so it went into the channel very easily, and it's cutting rather easily in spite of that dull razor blade. Get the last little bit in there. Remember, we're doing this one-handed, so this kind of give you an idea of just how easy this is. I was able to do it and hold a camera and talk all at the same time. So you shouldn't have any trouble with it, I wouldn't say. I've already gone through and kind of inspected it all the way around to make sure that we are in our channel, so we don't want anything popping out later. Look at that, we're all the way in, all the way around, everything's good. I think it's time to hang a deck lid. This is how much we had left over, quite a bit actually. Hell, that's enough to do a whole nother trunk on one of these flip cars. These old cars, they got a lot of material. Look at that. That is literally a whole nother trunk just left over. If you were doing one of our typical flip cars, that would easily take care of it. Today's modern cars are so much smaller. Look at that. That would easily take care of a newer style trunk. And that's just the leftovers. Well, okay. It's time to grab up this ginormous panel over here. It's got a lot of dust on it. Here's where you'd be tempted to come in and, here, let's wipe this off. No, we're gonna resist the urge to do that and just leave the dust on it and wash it off later. But yeah, it will be very, very nice to get these big old panels out of my way. They're taking up the shop, and get them on the car where they belong and out of harm's way. Get in here and get the bolts screwed out of it. This is the hinge bolts, obviously. I like to keep everything screwed into the holes that they came out of. That way we don't have to go looking for it later. Look, that's paying off already. Something else I like to do is hit the bolts up with the wire wheel. And then it's time for some WD-40. I think it's worth mentioning, I know I don't have to tell you guys this kind of stuff, but man, when you're out here trying to hang panels, especially when they're big panels and especially when you're doing it on your own, be ready. Have your ratchets, whatever you're using, have it all ready. Have them spinning in the right direction, all of that kind of stuff, so that when you're over here and you've got your hands full, you're not trying to find tools that should already be there or set them to tighten instead of loosen, all of that kind of stuff. We've all been there. And I know, you know, it goes without mentioning, right? I mean, we don't really have to say those things. I know most of you already know that kind of stuff. But you got to keep in mind, we do have some youngsters watching this channel. Not a lot, but some. And they're new. And, you know, they might overlook something like that. And it's worth putting that thought into their head. Like, oh, yeah, you know what? I should probably double check a few things before I get my hands full. We complain all the time about this industry dying out. A lot of the young people aren't really getting into it like they used to. They're not becoming painters and body men and all that stuff. And then we turn around and we make fun of them for not knowing stuff. It doesn't make sense. It's really stupid and we shouldn't do that. So if I've got something to pass on, I'll pass it on, even if it's something that's kind of obvious that most of us are like, duh. Well, so what, man? Just put it out there. To the part that I get kind of nervous on, I've got to start moving panels around, which requires dragging them across this shop. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to set y'all down for a minute. Finally, we're getting this one dug out. This one will be a little easier because it's on a rolly cart. Got some wheels going on this one. Yeah, I'm a little more comfortable moving this one around since I can roll it. We'll get it over there nearby so we don't have to carry it as far. Some old man tricks there. These doors are the things that scare me the most moving them around. I can't wait to get these back on the car where they belong. Those stands definitely need wheels on them, that's for sure. I don't recommend hanging panels by yourself, especially when you're like 45 years old with a bad back. But we kind of don't have the choice here, so we're going for it. Golly. Woo! Not gonna lie, she's a handful. There we go, we got that part. Man, I just ain't as young as I used to be, I'll tell you that much. But we did get it. We'll prop that up like that. Make sure nothing's touching the paint. We seem to be good there. Now I'm gonna go over there and grab that. Keep my ratchet handy. All right, we got one started. Kind of using my shoulder, using my head, using a little bit of everything here. All right, she won't go anywhere at this point. She's tight. I mean, she's there. She's attached. And since we had our rags and all that stuff protecting, we shouldn't have any scratches. Well, I tell you what, back in my body shop days, that would have been no problem at all, man. I tell you what, I am no spring chicken. That was hard. I'm not gonna lie. That was heavy as hell. And I even kind of doubted myself there for a second. Was like, oh crap, what have I got myself into? But I got the rags here, kept everything protected. No scratches nowhere, no chipped edges. So we're good. No problem, no worries. I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was, right? Isn't that what they say? And on that note, thanks for joining me. That concludes today's video. I'm going to be down for about 2 days now. No, I'm just playing. We're still good. Got to get these couple other bolts in. Normally, you'd put the bottom bolt in first, like on a hood. But since I had my little helper here, dang, that was my head, y'all. Since I had my little helper here, I was able just to rest it on that while I got the two started, which made it a lot easier. These two were a lot easier to start, and that at least held it into place. And then now we don't have to worry about it falling anywhere or anything. I can get them other two bolts in. We'll go ahead and lift this up, get rid of our little helper here so it doesn't fall and hit anything. Thanks a lot, little helper. We can let you off duty now. Let's see, let's get this guy. And again, look, I'm gonna stick my head in here. I don't know if I've got the camera set up right. I'm gonna stick my head in here and help push up on it. I got my shoulder under it as well. Since we got that first bolt holding in, we're good to go. Get that threaded in. Since we cleaned the threads off and we did the WD-40 and all of that, everything's threading in nicely. Come over here to this side and just repeat that whole process again. Super easy. There we go. There we go. Start tightening up. Now a good starting point's gonna be, got a little tape there, putting it back on the old paint marks. That'll get us in the ballpark. Somewhere about like that. That's definitely a good starting point. And then we'll just fine tune it from there. Air hose is fighting me here. Get this paint mark lined up somewhere in the ballpark. Now obviously anytime you're shutting a panel down for the first time after hanging it, especially after you've repainted it, go slow. Very, very important to go slow. We don't want any of these edges to touch and chip. I mean, it's important to make sure everything's lining up properly and to give it a good look all the way around as you're shutting it down. Don't worry about the latch being lined up or any of that just yet. Just watch this only. That's all we care about right now. We are worried about the edges, okay? It's very important. I bet that may have been a bit much, but we'll find out in a second. That whole rear gap needed to come open, so this ought to get us a lot closer. And again, keep going slow. We want to watch these edges, make sure nothing's binding up, make sure nothing's touching. You see this gap is a little bit tight on the side, whereas on this side over here, the gap is pretty loose. Look at that. So this is why I said leave one bolt loose on each side. We tighten the top on one, the bottom on the other, and this is why right here. We can get in here now and we could just push this hood over, or this deck lid over that way. Tiny little amount is all it's going to take, because everything is kind of already held into position, and now we could just kind of teeter-totter them bolts over that way, since we got one side loose on each side. And it's opposite, you know, it's just going to scoot barely. I'll show you right here. And it won't take a whole lot. I mean, I could just get in here and just barely, just give it a little bit, and we'll drop it down and check it out. You can already see that gap opened up quite a bit. I barely even touched it. Something I want to do now is take care of a fine little detail. Obviously, we got to put the key cylinder back in the hole, but it's got this rubber gasket that goes around it, and it has overspray on it from the last guy that painted this car, and I'd like to get rid of that. So I'm going to clean this off with a little bit of acetone. Maybe we can even flip it over, I don't know, to where that side's more visible. The way this goes on is it goes on like this. There went my light. It goes on like this, and you see around the edge. So I guess if we just flipped it over, would be okay. This actually goes together pretty easy. There's just a slot for that to slide through. Once you get that lined up, it'll slip on through there. There we go, like that. Now this guy is going to just slide right in there and hold it all together. And I don't think I can hold the camera and do it at the same time. Well, that actually was fairly easy, just like that. I feel like now is a really good time to put a little WD down in there. Got my key right here. Look at that. Man, that's like a new car. Look at that. Works really well. I like to go through and test my latches to make sure everything's working before I go shutting this down. And as you can see, she's working good. So let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Oh, we're shut. Let's go around and inspect our gaps. It doesn't seem to be too bad. I believe the gaps match on both sides. Let's see. Yeah, not bad. What do you think? Not too bad. I think that'll work. Look, this is where all the hard work pays off. You remember all that prep work we did where we had to fit all the panels ahead of time? That was a lot of work to do all of that just to take the car back apart again. I mean, some guys just won't do it. You know, to build something, then rebuild it again, and then to rebuild it. I mean, it's a lot of steps, but this is where it all pays off. I mean, these gaps are looking nice, and that they set rather easily. I didn't have to sit and fight all day long. So, you know, I think we're off to a good start. If we need to do any more little fine tuning along the way, we will do so. But I mean, check it out. This thing acts like brand new. Look at that. I mean, you barely even touch it, and she goes up, and then look at here. You don't have to slam it or anything. Just a normal little one-handed shut. I love that when it comes to deck lids. I love for them to just pop like this. Just like that, man. You're not fighting with it or nothing. That's nice, and that's just like a new car would be. Now time for some doors. Check it out. I've been over here just waiting their turn, all patient. They can't wait to get back on the car where they belong. I can't wait to get them on the car where they belong. Get all of this out of here. Woo! Look at that. That's what it looks like without all the dust on it. Let's get some of this masking off out of the way. Get it all ready. I can't wait to get this door on here. So in here we've got all the bolts. This holds the doors on. This here's the striker. I've cleaned these up with the wire wheel back when I disassembled the car, but obviously they got to get painted to match the car because that's what it would be from factory, right? I did the striker the same way. You can see here I went ahead and taped all the bolts back into their respective holes. That way we didn't lose them, but we did work off all the old paint with the wire wheel, and she's ready to go. And these were painted the factory color. I mean, these are supposed to be just have a little bit of blue overspray on them, basically, is all they come with from the factory. So we'll get that taken care of now. So we're going to do this the same way most any of you guys would. Get an old box, put your bolts on it, right, and hit it up with some self-etch primer. That's going to be the first thing. Anytime you're working with bare metal, you want to hit it up with that self-etch. And it's just a light coating, not a whole lot. And I guess, you know, what I was told is this stuff has acid in it, and it will help etch into that bare metal. And then your paint or primers or whatever you end up putting on after that have something better to stick to besides bare metal, which it doesn't like to stick to, is what I've always been told. Mixing me up a little paint here for my bolts. So I got me a little paint in the gun. This shouldn't just take but a second, so I'm just threw this in my old primer gun. This isn't really that big of a deal. I'm not even going to dirty up my good gun for this. Just want to dust a little color on there. Come around over here to the other side. Turn our box around here. I don't know, I think that looks all right. What do y'all think? I think we got good coverage, and that's really all it needs. We're not trying to build up a bunch of layers or anything, because if you get it too thick when you go to put your sockets and stuff on those bolts, you're just going to peel the paint right back off. So kind of a nice thin even layer. We'll let it sit out here in the sun for, I don't know, maybe an hour, and then we'll start bolting things together. While we were at it, I went ahead and threw in the driver's side hardware. I did that off camera, obviously. That way, when we jump around over on the other side, we're already ready to go. So might as well do it all at once, right? So I've had these sitting out in the sunlight for a good hour now. I think they're good to go. Let's go ahead and get this door on here. I've got my little helper. This is my chair. It sits there. Check it out. This is my setup. Little rolly chair right underneath it. And now all I got to do, if you guys seen before in whatever part it was, we welded the doors to this stand. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to cut those off now, and it's going to sit on that chair. We'll roll it over there and get it on the car. Got my little grinder here. Let's get this going. There's another one. Well, we're just about free. Just one more to go. Alright, we are free from the stand. All hands on deck. Here we go. Something like that. I love that chair. I've had that chair for so many years, probably about 12 years maybe. It holds up. It holds up to no matter what abuse I give it. Let's get it over here to the jack. See, I got a lot of rags and stuff on there, so it ought to be okay. Get it up here where it needs to go. That ought to be close. It's always interesting working with one set of hands when you need about two, at least two. But we get creative sometimes. We figure it out though. That ought to be pretty close where we need to be. All right, I got my first bolt started. Obviously, we want to keep it nice, keep it loose till we get the next one in. We'll get them all started, and then we'll start making our final adjustments, obviously. You can see what right there, the little plate that we're threading into on the back side. It's got a lot of movement in it, so you can do a lot of adjustments and things. All right, so there's the bolts ran in. I think we can loosen this off. There we go. Now let's see how far off we are. Wouldn't it be cool if we just got lucky and just nailed it on the first try? Highly doubtful. All right, same thing as with the trunk. You're going to want to watch all your edges. Make sure nothing's rubbing, right? Looks like we're doing okay so far. Keep an eye all down through here. And then obviously when you get over here too, it is really important over here. And that's actually not bad. Look at that. That's pretty sweet. Look at that. That is not a bad gap at all. What the? I swear to God, you guys. That was the first try. I'm telling you, this is why I talk about prep work so much. When you're prepping these things, if you will go the extra mile and build this car and build it just exactly the way you want it to go back together, this is what happens. Through this entire process of hanging these panels, it should go back together that easy, just like that. Man, having those panels together like that, look at that. Let's look at it for a minute. Nice. Nice, it's coming together. That's very motivating. I mean, between that and the deck lid being on there, I mean, come on, dude. This is awesome. Let's get this next panel on there. Obviously, we got to get some masking and things out of the way. Not a problem. Super easy. Get all this off of here. Okay, something like that. You're wondering what this stuff is. That just gets glued back around all the edges after it's all said and done, and it'll look like that. Y'all remember? That's what it looked like. And that stuff just glues back in. So we'll have to do that later. For now, it's just about getting these panels on, and we're gonna move right on to the next one. Okay, remember what I said about having everything ready. We're gonna get our bolts in place. You can see there, front door, all labeled and ready to go. Let's get this over here. We'll set it off in the front seat somewhere nearby, right along with our tools. Everything's ready to go. This should be all we need. I'm gonna grab a wrench too, just in case, because I can't quite remember, but I do believe that's all we're gonna need. We'll find out in just a minute. Get her underneath there. Get it to go up just a little bit here. So I think we're pretty close with our bolt holes. What do you think? There we go. This one down at the bottom has to go inside of that square hole. So we got to get everything lined up just right so it'll go through there. I think I'll just slide it right up in there. Easy now. Careful, careful. This guy started. Or at least we'll have one in, right? Pretty good there. See what we can get down here at the bottom. I think we're up just a little too high. I need to drop it back down a bit. Finally got smart, broke a light out, so here we are. We got all the bolts started. Let's get this thing snuggled up a little bit so we can start making some adjustments to it. Here we go. We'll get this top one. See, we got all the bolts in there. Be nice if we get this one just as close as we did the last one on the first try. That's pretty sweet. We'll find out here in a second. So I've been kind of moving my panels around, trying to get everything to kind of flow together just right, and this is what I've come up with. Of course, I've already showed you this back here. That looks pretty dang good. This right here, if you'll look, you know, that's a pretty good gap. Nice and straight all the way down. So now that we got the panels where I can accept it, I think the gaps are good enough. I think they look just fine. Way, way better than factory. These things were kind of off from the factory. A lot of people have been telling me about how god-awful some of these things came out of the factory with the gaps, and they just hide it with these really cool colors, paint schemes, and lots of trim. So anyway, I think we've got her heading in the right direction at this point. We're going to throw the latch in. We're not going to tighten everything super tight. You know, just kind of snug it up a little bit. Something like that. And you always want to get your gaps set first, then move on to the strikers and things, the latches and whatnot. Because you want the latch to match the door once the door is right. You don't want it to affect your adjustments. I could tell you right here. Let's see, let's make sure we're... Okay, so we are unlocked. There we go. Hey, that's actually not half bad. This is that new window tint. It comes custom painted to match your car. Let's go ahead and get that out of there. We don't need that in our way, because I need to get to this latch. There we go. Just like that. That's not bad. Look at that. Woo. I might bump it around a little bit. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll hit the latch and leave it open, in the open position, and then come over and kind of slide it in and out and feel if it's catching, and it doesn't. It actually feels pretty decent right here. Now obviously we'll have to leave it a little loose because we still got to put our weather stripping in. So you can see here it's kind of, yeah, so we'll leave it loose, put our weather stripping in, because the weather stripping is going to hold us out a little bit. So you see how this actually has a little bit of play? That weather stripping will probably take every bit of that out. But we'll find that out in a minute. For now, I just want to get the panels on. I'm thinking since we're on a roll and all, we're going to go ahead and just do this front one too. Get it out of the way, right? Makes sense. Okay, let's check the front door now. See if we're even in the ballpark. I can feel that one's kind of rubbing just a little bit. That's kind of rubbing a little bit. Here we go. Let's get rid of our window tint here. Hit the switch, hit the latch like we did the other side. I'm going to keep the latch pulled just like the other side. And we're going to come over here and we're going to slide this in and out the latch. Actually, that does not feel to be rubbing at all. Well, okay. That's actually rather nice. Okay, well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tighten it up now. And then we will maybe put a little WD-40 over on the latch itself, because it did feel like it was rubbing. It must just be the latch. It needs to have a little bit of this stuff on here. We'll hit that right there, right where it goes. Now let's see what we got. Man, those feel great. Those feel great. And just like the back door, see, we got a little bit of slop in there, a little bit of slack, right? And believe me, our weather stripping is going to fill every bit of that up, just like I said before. So there you have it, man. We got some panels done. I think we did some pretty good work today. What do y'all think? We freed up some space over here. Look at all that. Look at all that space we got now. And she's starting to come together. And man, I'm really glad to get back out here and work on it. I've missed working on this car. The title showed up. Took 2 weeks to come certified mail, 40 miles. It's only 40 miles between he and I. It took 2 weeks. So mail's very slow these days. I don't know what's going on there, but we do have it. I don't know if he's playing games. I don't know. Listen, we're not going to beat a dead horse and open that whole thing back up. Let's just not do that. Let's just move on. That's what we're trying to do here, and just fulfill our obligation. Whatever happens, happens. But we got to finish the project. We got to get the carpet back together. That's what I signed up for. That's what I'm gonna do. All right, so I'm gonna get on out of here. You guys, please like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I really appreciate everybody watching. Don't forget my Instagram link in the description. Facebook, Weird Beard on Facebook. I'll see you guys next time.